Has council had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes from October 15th and October 31st? So I'll ask for a motion.
Make motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
Second.
Motion from Rick, second from Robin. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Yes, an open forum. Seeing no one, will move into committee reports. Fire Relief Association. Mr. Ebensteiner.
Mayor, Council, Fire Relief meeting was held on October 23rd over at the Fire Hall. We approved the Q3 General Fund and Special Fund and reviewed investments, so approved those reports. They did discuss a benefit increase, so I would expect next year through the process, they're looking at a couple $100. I think they discussed up to like $5,200, so they'll discuss that at their annual meeting in January, and then you could see that coming back later in the year to council. Discuss the calendars, ads were getting out and getting sold. They did have a special meeting in August 8th, and discuss para moving to the state plan. The timing didn't work out. They did vote to move forward, but the timing didn't work out, so they're holding off. They're going to revisit the topic in 2025 and possibly move to the state plan in 25. So you would see that coming back to council and some of the other parties as well. And then they talked about their open house. They had an open boot and had $439 of donations. And that was it.
All right, thank you. Fire Board met a few weeks ago. We did discuss the financials and then a couple new policy updates that were put in place. How about Golf Committee?
Golf Committee, we met 2 weeks ago. Everything's going great, to be expected. Overall, the facility revenue is up $260,000 over the year. And the rounds played to date are up 1,300 over last year. Of course, obviously, weather's been a big factor in that. We were able to get out early and still playing, for crying out loud. They reopened today, so yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I got.
All right, joint planning, we had one very fast item. It was a CUP that was approved for the township. And then budget and finance.
Budget and Finance, we met on October 24th. Pretty routine meeting. The financials were looking pretty good, and we are going to have an update 9 Alpha on our agenda tonight, so we'll save more for that.
Okay. The Special Planning Commission meeting.
Special Planning Commission meeting, so our regular Planning Commission meeting was October 28th, Monday, so we had a special planning meeting on October 21st, Monday, and that was to go through some more of the reviews for the code rewrite. So even the meeting on October 28th was pretty long, so trying to ingest 3-4 hours for the stuff you tend to lose, especially in code. You tend to lose that, so we had broken it up over several meetings. So so that was the 21st, and then I can just lead right into the 28th, and that was one of our main items there. We did also have a approval of a plan set for Price Homes on that, and we also talked a little bit. We talked about cannabis regulation as part of that night too. So that's what those two.
All right. City Hall renovation update.
The exterior structural work continues. They did set the main beam and all the steel for the new joint entrance, so that allowed the roof decking to get put on. We did see an updated schedule, and it's still on for the phase 1, which is primarily the PD. Will be done third week in December. So it's still on track, according to the latest schedule.
So third week of December is a move-in, or third week of December it'll be roughed in and then inside work can start?
Scheduled the furniture for that week.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Any other committees that were missed? No, we'll move into board committee and consultant reports. Termination and dissolution of recycling board joint powers agreement. Mr. LaRude.
Mayor Bertram, City Council members, on September 3rd, this City Council reviewed information about the inactive joint powers agreement that established the Sherburne County Municipal Recycling Board, which is made up of 4 cities, Becker, Big Lake, Elk River, and Zimmerman. At that meeting, the council passed a resolution requesting that that board meet and consider dissolution of that agency. And so that group met on the 23rd, and the representatives of all 4 cities were there. And they passed the included Resolution 2401, which then goes back to all the cities for action by the individual councils. So tonight's action is passing a resolution or adopting a resolution that would approve of dissolving that JPA. They do own one piece of equipment that they've had for a number of years. It's not used. City of Zimmerman houses it. It was decided at that meeting that they will put it up for auction up at the Princeton Pike Auction Service and then distribute any proceeds. They estimate it's gonna be right around $6,000 of value, so that would go equally to all 4 cities. And so once the cities meet, 3/4 of the cities have to approve it, the board will meet again and then formally dissolve. And that meeting has yet to be determined when that would be, but before the end of the year is the plan. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If there are none, the staff would request a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2494, approving the dissolution of the Sherburne County Municipal Recycling Board.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion from Rick, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Building HVAC Bid Award. Mr. Lisson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For you tonight, I've got a RCA and resolution for our storage building HVAC upgrade project. So we worked with HR Green to do a feasibility study, address the change in use of that space. They came together with plans and specifications for what would need to be done to correct that space. And council gave approval to take those plans out for bids. We did receive 4 bids for the project back, so they're listed in the RCA there, so you can see 3 of the bids were slightly more than the engineer's estimate, and 1 was lower than the engineer's estimate. Engineer's opinion of probable cost for the project was $196,000. So after reviewing those bids with HR Green, we're looking to award that contract to SCR, St. Cloud Refrigeration, as they are the lowest responsible bidder. We have brought this project before the Public Works Committee, and they supported the project moving forward. We do have money budgeted in our domestic and industrial wastewater CIP funds for this project. So I'm looking for tonight would be a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2495, which would be a resolution awarding the contract for the wastewater treatment facility storage building HVAC upgrade project to SCR. And I will stand for any questions.
So the amount you're looking for, is it the 180, and then do you have like, I thought I saw it in here
Yeah,
somewhere, you
there's
get a 10%
10%.
contingency.
Yep,
Just trying to see where
just
it's,
in case
Right
there's
here.
any, yep.
Oh, okay. So I knew I read it.
Last page.
Not bad.
Quite a difference.
So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2495, awarding a contract for the wastewater treatment storage building HVAC upgrade project for not to exceed $198,550.
A second.
Motion from Rick, second from Robin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Chapter 10 Amendment, adding Section 10.5, Rules and Regulations Governing City-Owned Yard Waste Site.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to step on Jacob's toe. His quote is kind of his thing, but a little ad. here I'm
Chapter
gonna
11.
Throw by you, all right, so I'll try a different chapter tonight. So I have the proposed ordinance 292nd series here. So at the yard waste facility, we have some general rules that are listed as far as what's acceptable there. We do have people that will leave items there that are not considered acceptable items. So when we tried to deal with that, we did a camera upgrade 2 years ago with the idea that we can try to monitor the space better, try to eliminate those things from being dumped at that site, because it's just a cost to the city to then get rid of them. PD has been very helpful when we have had dump there. We don't get a lot here. I'd say maybe 3 to 4 a year. So it's not like it's just, we're not getting dozens and dozens a year. But when you do have them, I mean, it can be items like concrete, 2x4s, plywood, we've had furniture dumped there before. So trying to make sure if that does happen, we have a way to deal with that in a way that we can deal with it that makes sense. In working with PD, some of the things that they've given us feedback on are, well, we'd like to handle this administratively, so it's done within the city. We didn't really have that process in place. And in talking with one of the officers, they said, well, and to use a state statute for littering doesn't really apply as well here, and we don't necessarily want this to be something that stays with the person's record. This is something we should address just through the city in an administrative way. So I'm looking to add some language to the code that kind of defines what the site is, some basic definitions so that people can reference that and know what's acceptable, not acceptable. And then it kind of outlines the process. If you do illegally dump at the site, here's what the process is, and here's what the fine would be if you did do that and we found you to be the one that did dump illegally. We have discussed this with Public Works Committee, and they supported it going to council for consideration. And then I don't have the fee schedule adjustment tonight. I'm gonna just have that go with our annual one. The site's pretty much kind of done for the year anyway, so we'll just let that roll in starting the beginning of the year. If there's any questions, I can stand for them. Otherwise, tonight I'd be looking for a motion in a second to approve ordinance 292nd series, an ordinance amending City of Becker Code, adding sections 10.50 to chapter 10. And then also a motion and a second approving ordinance 292nd series summary for publication purposes.
So when we talk about the unacceptable materials, I mean, I think everybody knows a sofa is not an acceptable material.
Yep.
But like the stumps, I don't deal with stumps very often, but I mean, that would be my first instinct actually would be to bring it there, because we have the other brush and stuff like that. I know that gets ground up.
Yep.
So for stuff like that, where it's maybe a little more questionable, I mean, I guess I've never looked, because I've never thought to bring a stump out there, but is there sufficient signage, or is that something?
It is
we
on the
can-
sign when you come in. We do have it listed on the city website, and then now it would be in the code as well. So it's out there, it's available. I don't know what sufficient is,
Well, I mean,
sometimes
if I
today,
drive up to if I have a question, I drive the first, I'm not gonna look in the code, I'm
When
gonna
you
look on the
when you
sign,
scan
so.
the card, you'll see the sign right there, and it's listed. So that's the diameter of wood we would take. We do not take roots, we do not take, any kind of lumber, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So yep, it's on the sign out there.
Okay.
Is there an issue with repeat violators?
We haven't had an issue with repeat violators, not in the time I've been here anyway. So what we've done in a few instances, PD will engage the person, so if we do make contact, they have been good about saying, if you're willing to come back and take it, then we'll call it good enough. So,
The walk
so
of
we
shame.
do, we want to work with people. Obviously, sometimes people don't know, like you said, they maybe it's the whole tree, I cut it down, I just want to get rid of it. Okay, I understand, we're not here to hammer you, if you're doing things like 2x4s, plywood things, your deck that you took down and didn't know what to do with it, we did have a whole deck left there one time, so, yeah, that doesn't go here. So this is a way for us to kind of address that and deal with it. If you're willing to take it back and dispose of it properly, then we're good to go and you can keep using the site. So, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 292nd series, amending the City of Becker Code, adding section 10.50 to chapter 10 of the Becker City Code.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
I'll also make a motion to approve ordinance 292nd series, summary for publication purposes.
I'll second that also.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. County Road 53, turnback agreement with Sherburne County. Mr. Knutson.
Good evening, Mayor and
Out.
Council. What's that?
He figured it out.
Yeah. I actually forgot about the publication, but it takes me a little longer. I'm getting old, so. Yeah, but in front of you tonight, we have the turnback agreement with Sherburne County for County Road 53, which is, the termination point is CASA 8, County Road 8, or River Road, all the way down to the new cul-de-sac just north of Snuffy's Landing. This was part of the business plan expansion that started in 2021. That project has been complete, wrapped up, and accepted as complete. So with that, we work with the county ahead of time. If you remember, county solicited Teddy grants for the road project, and we put the infrastructure in the road. The road used to terminate. It was basically a north-south road, and it terminated at the lone residence on that property. With this project, we moved the termination point just past Snuffy's Landing, so now it's a nice paved road all the way down to the parking lot and the overlook by the park. With that, though, we intended to look at taking the road back, especially with the annexation of the breakwater property on the west side of the road. Now it's all city jurisdiction with the exception of the ring property that's still located at on the property. So we did look at this with legal. They've given us a thumbs up on moving this thing forward. We've reviewed it with staff. So we'd be looking, even though there's a Clear Lake resident that lives on there, the turnback is for the road and all right-of-ways associated with it and for the maintenance of the facility. There's no money changing hands. They're not giving us anything. We're not paying anything for this because it's a brand-new and completed road. We will take care of any maintenance through our operational budget, and this would be placed on our CIP like we run the rest of our streets. So with that, we are looking for movement on the resolution tonight, should you see fit. And I could stand for any questions, should you have them.
Does the road name change at all with the turn back to the city and it being annexed?
The street will lose the County Road 53 portion of it. The County Road 53 will then take off north. It still is north of County Road 8 and actually north of Highway 10 as well, and terminates, I can't remember what the road is, way out in Clear Lake Township. But that street is also 115th Street southeast, I believe. And that's what we've, our lift station out there and 2 power sources for the streetlights are addressed that way. So it will be known for us as a City of Becker Street, I believe it's 115th Street southeast.
Okay.
I'll make a motion adopting Resolution 24-96, a resolution approving the Sherburne County turnback of County Road 53 to the City of Becker.
Second.
Motion from Becky, second from Robin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator and staff reports. Third quarter financials of 2024. Mr. Ebensteiner.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So here to give a quick snapshot of the general fund, special revenue funds, and enterprise funds. So we did discuss this at the recent budget and finance meeting, went through all the details. Starting off with the general fund revenues, so tax revenues are at 52% through September as expected. So as a reminder, those collections do flow through the county, and we did receive the additional 15% in July. And we'll receive the remaining 50% in November or December. Item to note, interest revenue is $109,000, had budgeted $55,000, so our current interest rate environment is very beneficial, as it has continued, so great to see there. On the expenditure side, currently at 66% of budget, 75% through the year. And this does include, we pay 100% of our property and casualty and workers' comp premiums earlier in the year. So on the expenditure side, looking very good through September. On the special revenue fund side, the EDA fund, once again, revenue is largely tied to property taxes. We did get to 50% in July. Item to note, which has been consistent with some of the prior quarterly updates, we have received that Rockefeller philanthropy grant for $250,000. So that's made up of a couple grants, $150,000 and then $100,000. Those do have some grant deadlines. I think once in March 31st and May 31st of 2025. So you'll be seeing some more of that coming through Jacob's office on some of the updates on that grant and some of the activity there. And then the expenditures of the EDA fund are favorable as well at 70% through September. Community Center Fund, 50% of property taxes are received in June and July. And then user fees are doing great through September. User fees at 81% of budget. Really reflects those strong memberships. As a snapshot, as of the, I think these are October 1st numbers, we had 1,073 memberships and 2,475 members. In comparison, 2 years ago, October, we had 901 memberships and 2,413 members. So definitely are seeing that trend in recovery of memberships. And then expenditures are as expected, right at that 75% through September. Golf course fund, as a reminder, no operating tax levy in the golf course fund. Revenues are at 93% of the budget overall. Operations with those rounds are looking very good at 109%. And then food and beverage, that's 79%. So both operating very well. Expenditures, once again, those property and casualty and workers' comp, those are paid earlier in the year. And then overall expenditures in the golf fund at 81%. With $429,000 of income through the third quarter. And as Becky mentioned, a good start to the fourth quarter as well. Water fund, revenues are consistent with typical first, second, third quarter usage. Definitely slightly behind 23. We did have a wet June and July, so are seeing those within the revenue side there. And then expenses are at 49%. With some capital projects planned for the fourth quarter. So should be seeing some of that capital coming through. On the wastewater side, domestic wastewater, definitely consistent with first, second, third quarter volume. Definitely sewer tends to be more consistent, so revenues are at 65% through September. As a reminder here, we have not had leachate revenue from Excel in 2024, so this line item is unfavorable to budget. We had some discussions about bringing more leachate earlier in the year. That didn't come to fruition, so just seeing an unfavorable budget there, but didn't really have a lot of expenses on the other side, so nothing to really be alarmed of there. On the expense side for domestic wastewater, the budget does include some capital spend. We just did see the one that Chris had presented on, and then we should see some other items coming through in the fourth quarter. And then industrial wastewater, revenues and expenses tracking as expected, revenues at 71% and expenses at 61%. So with that, can answer any questions, otherwise no action on this item.
All right, thank you. Consent agenda, Mr. LaRude.
The Bertram City Council members, items for approval on tonight's consent agenda include approve the revised hiring and termination report, adopt resolution 24-93 accepting the following donations, $4,583 from the Becker Youth Athletic Association for baseball for BAC improvements, and $3,000 from the Becker Lions Club for archery targets. The temporary liquor license for the Becker Lions for an event to be held on November 23rd. The appointment of Sarah
Wojtaszek.
Vitashik.
It's just how it sounds, you know?
Appointment to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Approve partial pay request number 3 in the amount of $403,885.99 to Apex Construction Group for the Police Department City Hall project. Approve partial pay request number 5 in the amount of $258,111.31 to OMG Midwest for the 2024 Street Improvement Project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion from Robin, second from Rick. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Payment of the bills.
Motion, we pay the bills.
Second?
Motion from Becky, second from Robin. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anniversary announcements for the month of November. In the City Hall, Economic Development Coordinator Nicole Smood is celebrating 1 year with us. Jason Scharfenkamp, who is the golf course superintendent, is celebrating 9, as well as Chris Lisson over in Public Works is celebrating 9 years. In our
Happy anniversary.
In our part-time staff at the community center, we have Bethany Stevens celebrating 11, Amber Gilbertson 7 years, Emmy Howard with 7, Matt Krenz with 6, and then at the golf course, we have Kyler Klein celebrating 5 years with us. So congratulations to those individuals. Does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Motion from Robin, second from Rick. Those in favor can state aye.